Hello, I'm Phil Pienkos, CEO and founder of Polaris Renewables. I'm very happy to be here with you today at the National Lab Accelerator Pitch event and very happy to talk about Polaris. Polaris is an early stage startup devoted to the production of renewable plastics to help heal our planet. Polaris is addressing a very important problem for the fashion industry. The global fashion industry is simply not sustainable. 2.1 billion tons of CO2 equivalent were emitted by the fashion industry in 2018. And 60% of the raw materials that are used for fashion and footwear is derived from petroleum. The industry has a problem and they know it. And Polaris is bringing a solution to that problem. The opportunity for Polaris is very large. In the first place, 90% of Gen Z consumers believe that companies have a responsibility to address environment and social issues. And $1.8 trillion per year is spent on footwear and apparel worldwide. So it's a very large market, and they have a growing need to address the concerns of their customers by looking at sustainable replacements for the materials that they use. In order to compete in the marketplace, the fashion brands are going to need new solutions. And one of those solutions is coming from Polaris. Polaris is developing non-isocyanate polyurethanes, or NIPUs, to replace the petrochemical conventional polyurethanes that are found in coatings, automotive applications, buildings, and fashion. And Polaris is focusing on the fashion as our entry to market. A little bit of background so that you understand why Polaris is pitching at the National Lab Accelerator event. We began our work at NREL. I am a former group manager at the National Renewable Energy Lab, and I began working on this problem while at NREL to develop novel value-added products from algal biomass. This then segued to a phase 1 and phase 2 technology commercialization fund project with Patagonia, Algix, and later Tempur Sealy as corporate partners. I'm the co-inventor of the technology that we're using, and I retired from NREL in 2020 and started Polaris Renewables in order to commercialize the technology. So the polyurethane market is huge. Worldwide, the total addressable market is $60 billion per year, growing at an average rate of about 5.5%. And we find polyurethanes in almost everything: in coatings, buildings, automotive uses, furniture, fashion, footwear, bedding, etc. We're focused on the beachhead market, which is films for waterproofing, synthetic leather, and decoration, because we believe that the materials that we're producing will be able to enter this market sector the fastest. But if we also start looking at foams for footwear, apparel, and outer gear, that brings us to the serviceable market, which is about $1.1 billion a year. Now, Polaris Renewables technology brings a significant sustainability impact to the products that we're producing. If we simply replace partially bio-based polyurethanes with our fully renewable polyurethanes, this represents a 33% reduction in carbon footprint. And the reason for that is because we are fully bio-based, we use fully bio-based feedstocks, but even more importantly, we have CO2 incorporated directly into the polymer chain. And so this is actually a means to capture CO2 into the product. Not only that, but we've recently learned that our materials are biodegradable, demonstrating CO2 release when present in the soil. And so we can expect that our materials will not end up in landfills or in the ocean forever. We have a business-to-business business model. We are looking at fashion brands as our partners, and we've had numerous extensive conversation with brands like Adidas, Patagonia, and Allbirds. And we're working with the brands as our partners to move upstream to their polyurethane producers, they're polyurethane suppliers, and these companies have shown great interest in Polaris. And we've had a number of very useful conversations with companies like Covestro, Merrimack, Dow, and Lubrizol. Our go-to-market strategy involves product development, and currently we are writing proposals for research grants and for other types of non-dilutive funding to allow us to build our research program. This is providing not just work towards a minimum viable prototype, but also allow us to generate additional additional sustainability data. With funding from these non-dilutive sources, we will begin our R&D program in earnest, develop our MVP, and take it to scale for piloting. This will allow us to place samples in the hands of our customers for testing in their processes and will lead to an expanded IP portfolio. In 2025, armed with market technology and sustainability data, we will reevaluate our investment strategy and determine if it would be useful to pivot to equity investment if appropriate. But our plan is to establish Polaris technology for licensing or acquisition, not to build grassroots factory. And so we may not need that equity investment even at 2025. So for the past 2 years, I've been involved in a couple of accelerator programs. In 2020, I participated in the Fashion for Good Accelerator Program. This provided mentoring and access to fashion brands, very helpful. In 2021, Polaris joined the Venture for Climate Tech Premier cohort, and Venture for Climate Tech provides mentoring, access to investors, access to entrepreneurs, and also pre-seed funding. This has been very helpful in getting Polaris started and helping us develop our business plan. The Polaris Renewable team consists of me, the founder, CEO, and co-inventor of the technology. It also includes Tao Dong, my colleague at NREL, who's a co-inventor and technology innovator. Tao is a senior engineer focused on biorefinery concepts and renewable polymers. Ben Galfin is our product success manager. Ben is a former employee of Patagonia and now runs a consulting firm called Outsider Innovation. And he has a background in textiles and material innovation strategies. We also include Devin Shipp as a technical advisor. Devin is a professor at Clarkson University in the Department of Chemistry and Biomolecular Science, and he's also the director of the Center for Advanced Material Processing. Our IP strategy are to file as many patents as possible and build up our portfolio, but we already have core patents that were filed by NREL. One of these has been awarded on novel NEPU formulations, and another which is pending on the production of foams from NEPUs. Polaris has an option for an exclusive license in the fashion sector from NREL, and we are building our patent strategy based largely on composition of matter patents. Our fundraising strategy is currently only using non-dilutive funds. The NSF, we've applied for an NSF phase 1 STTR grant and are going after a DOE STTR grant, which will provide us with funding to develop the minimum viable prototype, but also to look at polyurethane upcycling, because we think it's great that our materials are biodegradable, but wouldn't it be better if we did something more than borrow CO2 from the air and put it back when the end of life comes, if we could just recycle these materials indefinitely? So that is a goal, another goal for the company. With the phase 1 NSF STTR grant in hand, we hope to achieve our minimum viable prototype, and we are also seeking funding from a number of other non-dilutive sources to then do complementary work on our MVP. With the success of these programs, this will lead to phase 2 STTR proposals, which will then provide us with the funds we need for scale up and the pilot programs that we need. At this point, we will have an opportunity to determine whether our non-dilutive funding strategy is working, the potential to pivot to private equity investments if necessary. So I want to thank you very much for your time. I'll be happy to take questions. It's been a great pleasure to present on Polaris today.